Hey, Guru Nation, welcome back to another episode. It's nice to be back. This is on YouTube, this is on podcast, this is everywhere. This is Vanesca. We're going to have you on Latinos in Clinical Research as well. But when you reached out to me on Instagram, basically you were saying, hey, I'd love to give back. I've been able to be successful as an immigrant. So Vanesca is a surgeon from Venezuela, immigrated to the US, became a CRC, clinical research coordinator, for those that don't know. Now is a quality assurance director for BRCR, which is a pretty large site network and even CRO, BRCR Global, in the US and Latin America. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
We're gonna get into that too, but I know a lot of Guru Nation is in the same situation, international medical graduate. Either you are still living in another country, because a lot watch that are not living in the US and they say, "Hey, how do I find a job in the US?" I don't really have good answers, but I try to bring on guests that have done it. So it's better than hearing from me my theory. You hear from someone like Vanesca who's actually done it. So Vanesca Chassin, she's QA director now for BRCR Global. Thanks so much for wanting to come on. I really appreciate it.
And thanks to you for inviting me.
I guess, where do we start? Well, did you ever think you would be in clinical research?
No, never. I mean, never in my life. I came to this country thinking about getting my steps done, right? Getting the my residency and everything. Let's just continue the medical pathway, right? Um, I did some research at med school back in Venezuela. It was really, really little. Not all the universities has that kind of research, like create molecules, create a database. So
So
I
you
came
didn't
to this
think you would be
country.
in research, but you did know you were gonna be a doctor. This
Yeah,
much you did know. And why was that? Like, where did that come from?
I don't know because all of my family are lawyers, all of them,
Yeah,
lawyers or accountants. So I just have one aunt, my uncle's wife. She's the only doctor in the family actually. So and I was called for medicine,
yeah.
right? I really like the scientific area, but I always wanted to be a scientist. So uh, maybe that was what moved me, right? Um, but yeah, I didn't at that time. I didn't know I wanted to do research. Now it's my life. I got love. I mean, in love with this. But yeah, back in there when I just started to thinking about getting into the medical field, I just thought about patients and that's it. That's it.
So walk me through when, because you were practicing you were a plastic surgeon in Venezuela.
Yeah, I,
Um,
I, I was not a plastic surgeon. I was working with one of them.
oh, I see.
I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. Yeah. In Venezuela, we graduated as a surgeon because we can do some like simple procedures,
I
right?
see.
Yeah. So, but I was in that field, in plastic surgery. So I was working at that moment when I graduated. I started working in the aesthetic and plastic surgery field.
And
Actually, that doctor was one of my mentors in life.
yeah, Dr. Jose Luis Martinez.
Yeah.
Everybody go connect, by the way, with Vanesca on her LinkedIn. It's underneath the video or in the show notes if you're listening. Absolutely you must connect with her. Um, okay, Vanesca, so when did you decide, hey, I want to move to the United States, but I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get there? How did that work?
Well, I mean, it's not a secret for everybody the situation that Venezuela is going on right now. So back in 2015, when I graduated, the situation was awful in hospital. We don't have anything to give to the patients at that moment. The politics was really inside of the hospital, so everything was messed up. So at that moment we didn't have like opportunity to grow
So when
as
we
professional.
complain, when Americans complain about politics here, not to get political too much, but politics, or more specifically for our industry, when Americans complain about the politics of large academic medical centers here in the US or teaching hospitals, what is your reaction to this?
I laugh.
It's nothing
We-
compared to
no,
Venezuela.
no. You cannot inside of the. I mean, depend of your. For example, if you are with the government, you have to get a different treatment, like a better treatment that the other people that is not inside of the clinic. So that's
Oh, if
really
you're a government worker, if you're a
yeah,
government
and
employee.
yeah, and for example, in where when I graduated, I started working on a little town. So in that town, uh, you can see that people from that were, I mean, they want the government or the people that from the government, they wanted to get into the clinic and just uh, uh, give you like rules. For example, hey, you have to give me this antibiotic, or you have to take my uncle to this room, or you have to do this or that. So I mean, they want to tell you what to do,
So
right? So
how would the patients even know what they should get? Is just somebody told them? Or
it was it was crazy, and also the blackouts. So when I was
wow.
in that part, I had 8 hours blackouts. So 4 in the morning and maybe four others when I was on the 24-hour shift. Uh,
Wow.
4 more hours during the early morning. So people from the government want us to get them treat or attend them during that time with the blackouts, and we couldn't. How can we do with with no lights, anything in there? So yeah, it was pretty complicated at that time
And
for me.
just to put a timeline on all this, so this was around 2016, 2017
Yeah,
when that
2016.
occurred. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so obviously from what I hear, the motivation came basically because Venezuela's entire system's falling apart, basically, and you said, hey, there's got to be better opportunity. A lot of Latinos go to Miami, go to Florida. Did you did you
Yeah.
know about it already? Like, have you ever been there, or did you have a support system there? Why did you choose Miami?
Yeah. Well, um, always that happened before when you were, I mean, when I was studying medicine, you came here after you graduate, study some fellowship or something, and then get back to your country. That was a good pathway to follow in there. So that's what I was thinking. But after graduation and after all those things that I had to get through, because of the political situations in there, I decided just to move around. So yeah, I got supported here. My father and my mother gave me everything, so I came migrated here, and I came here with a student visa. So I started at Kaplan, studying my, preparing for my steps, right?
Okay.
So I started there for 7 months only because then I had to start working, right?
So because
So
of the international medical graduate, because I'm gonna ask here a little bit more detail because a lot of people
of
watching
course,
are in this situation. So because you were already a doctor, you were able to go the student visa route. Was that an easy process or relatively simple, or was it very difficult?
it was a very simple process. I just apply for the university or the college, okay, and then give you an I-20. It's called I-20. Okay, it's a form that gives you the status here in US. Okay, and with that I-20, you apply for that visa appointment, for a student visa appointment. So you just follow the instructions there, and I get to my appointment. My visa was approved, and that's it. I know sometimes it's a little bit difficult because I mean it was back in 2016. So I remember that people that was in front of me got rejected. But because
Doctors as
my
well?
not doctors, they were for there for English.
I
But
see.
because mine was specific for medicine and I had a pathway to get into the medical system here, that was different from their one.
Did
So
you have to
mhm,
create this pathway before you applied, or it was just obvious to everybody
no,
that's what
it was just obvious. Yeah,
I see? So definitely advantage if you're a doctor in another
yeah,
country.
yeah.
Okay,
And if anyone that would like to apply for a student visa, will be better to just apply something related to their career. Something related, for example, I'm a doctor, so I apply for, I went to a college to get the preparation for my steps,
I
right? I don't
see.
know if you are, I don't know, maybe business administration or something
Yeah,
related to your career.
those steps are hard. Have you taken the test?
I haven't
I remember my dad
because
told me about this because he's a foreign doctor from Romania as well, but he didn't come on a student visa. He came on a because the communist was, there was like a revolution. So we came on a visitor visa, and then we never left because the revolution started happening in Romania. I was only 3 years old. Um, but he then started taking his test for the steps, but it took him maybe another 10 years to get his stat like ECFMG and all that because he had to get a job as physical therapist and he had to work his way to study and all that. It took about 10 to 12 years. He didn't become a doctor until I was like 16 in high school. So from 3 until like 15 or 16, that's when he became US equivalent doctor. So it was
right,
not a easy steps for him. And I remember him telling me they make these ECFMG so much harder, than the regular med school test because it's just like almost impossible. But he did it. I think he did it on the first time. I have to ask him, but all I remember is it's extremely stressful, extremely difficult to pass.
yeah, yeah. And the thing that I met research, so that
You
changed.
met research. When did you meet research? So when in this process you were here, you were studying your steps, probably
Yeah,
stressing out.
yep.
No, no income, or did you have a job or
No, I did not.
okay,
Income. The income came from my parents.
that can't be easy. That
Yeah,
can't
so
be
that's
easy in
why.
Miami. Miami's expensive too.
Yeah, and nowadays, oh my God, terrible.
So how did you meet research? What happened?
Yeah. So destiny. So I went with my uncle visiting some of his relatives. I didn't want it at that time. Oh my God, no, please, I don't want to go. He said, hey, come, please. So in that reunion, I met someone that owns a research site.
In Miami?
Yeah, actually, the BRCR Global's owner.
Ah, okay, okay.
So uh what her wife his wife was there. She was um giving food to the baby, breastfeeding the baby, and I saw that the technique was not the correct one. So I just walked through and I say, hey, can I teach you how to breastfeed the baby? And she said, oh yeah, what do you do? And I start talking with her like, no, well, I'm a doctor. I'm from Venezuela, so I'm here studying for myself. And then she said, have you heard about research? And I said, well, I just explained to her what I did in the med school, and then the owner of BRCR told me, hey, I own this, so this is what we do. Do you think you can do this? And I said, of course. So he asked me to identify patients. That's what we do.
Pre-screening. Yeah, pre-screen. So as a site owner myself, you are extremely desirable as an international medical graduate. The hard part is convincing someone. So here I'm in a border town near Mexico, and there are IMGs that are Mexican licensed, but they work here in the United States as medical assistants, CNA. The hard part for me is try to convince them like, hey, I know you want to try to take your steps and all this, but let's consider clinical research. And most don't. Most are stubborn or, they still want to go down the pathway and they think, okay, this is just a distraction for me. Yeah, it's research, but it's weird. It's gonna distract me from what I'm doing. I'd rather just be a MA, CNA and study to be, hopefully pass. Everyone thinks they're gonna pass when the odds are really against you. It's not in your favor that you're gonna pass. And how many times are you gonna keep applying for the ECFMG? So you probably had the foresight enough, or why was it such a easy? Was it because it was like relatives telling you this, or and not a stranger?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it was a stranger for me. That person was a stranger for me at that moment.
Hmm.
Maybe it's because I said yes. I never said no to any opportunity.
So you're
So
open-minded.
yeah, totally. When he asked me, so when I'm looking someone to help me recruiting patients, so I need someone who can identify um patients. And I said, okay, I can do that. Even if never in my life, I did it before in that way. I know that I can. I mean, I know how to read medical history. I know how to read blood tests. I know how to read the diagnosis of the patient. So I didn't see why
So
I couldn't do that job.
so you never thought, hey, you know what? I'm a doctor. This sounds like a low-level task. Why I'm not gonna do this.
No, never, because it was an opportunity for me here to open a path. So even though I wanted to do my steps at that moment, I know that was an opportunity for me to learn about the healthcare system in here that's totally different from Latin America.
Hmm.
To learn more about everything in here that's so different. To have that approach to doctors, to patients. That in Florida, I mean, in Florida we have everything kind of patient, like everyone from everywhere in the world, right?
Hmm.
But everyone is different. So you have those approaches that are really important in the set as well. So, but research is so huge, so
So
big,
you
and you can.
then once they offered you this role, I mean, did you
Mhm.
accept like right away or the same day, or you had to go back and Google what this is, what's research?
No, I say yes. I didn't thought about it. I say yes. Who I have to call or where I should go, and he said, okay, now call this person, and I remember that was in November, December, something like that. So I call this person, and he will he will interview you. And I said, okay. So I called that person like I don't know how many times.
Wow.
And then they called me back and I started in January
Of January of 2018.
2018. Yeah,
Yeah. And now you're a QA director at the site, quality assurance. Fast forward
yeah,
5 years later, right? More or less.
yeah.
Um, so how long did the patient recruitment pre-screening last for you before you became CRC?
It was pretty fast. So
That's what
I
I
can
tell
tell you.
people. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
tell people. A lot of people are worried, oh, well, I can do more than just recruit and call patients. I want to be a coordinator. They don't know that that's how you start and it happens quickly if you're somebody that the company wants to promote.
Exactly. I think it was 2 months or 3 months, something like that. It was pretty quick. I just started looking around for patients, talking with the doctors, having that experience inside the clinic,
Mm.
and they told me, "Hey, would you like to be a coordinator?" I said, "Of course,
And
of
doctors
course,
love
yeah,
you. Doctors love to have IMGs as coordinators because you are a doctor. I mean, I know we had a few employees that were IMGs in the past, and the doctors would they're respectful to all of our coordinators, but they would treat the IMGs like a little bit differently. Like they would actually
yeah,
have higher level conversations with them about the labs, for example, or the ECG. Like they would, and then the other coordinators would look at them like, I don't understand this. But There's a difference with the IMG that even the PIs recognize.
Yeah, it's like the communication is a little bit different. So I remember the doctor said, "Hey, what I should do? What do you suggest? Or what do you think about this? Do you think maybe it can be this diagnosis or maybe the other one?" So we can have those type of conversations in there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what kind of studies were you working on?
Well, I started in pulmonologist trial.
Ah, okay.
That's where I started recruiting for patients in there, and then I went all go through oncology.
So you guys, so you were doing pulmonology and then oncology
Yeah, but now oncology is the I can say the 80% of the operations in here
is
right
oncology.
now, oncology.
Wow. That's rare for a community-based clinic. Usually, I mean, sponsors love sites that are not affiliated with teaching hospitals or universities that can do oncology because they know it's so much red tape around these academic medical centers and these teaching hospitals, or even like not teaching hospitals with oncology. So if you're a private community-based clinic, the sponsors love you because you're able to move quickly as long as your quality is there. And that's your new role, quality assurance director. We'll
Yeah,
get into that. I want to get into that, but so now it's 80% of the studies is oncology at this site.
yeah.
And what's the setup like? Is it a private practice of oncologists and then you guys do research there, or you just recruit from the community? How does it work?
So for oncology, yeah, we work with the private practice of the doctors,
Okay. Within, you
but
guys are embedded inside the private practice?
we're in front. So we're crossing just hall from the private practice. We are on
Okay.
site where all the administrative tasks take place,
I see. That
and
makes
then
it
the
easy
rest,
to
like,
recruit. I'm trying
yeah.
in here in Yuma. I gotta talk to you to biz dev more because in Yuma, here I do Yuma, Arizona, I have an internal medicine, I have a dermatologist, and I have a psychiatrist and neurologist. So I'm able to get those kind of study, like we have diabetes, obesity, osteoarthritis. The demographic actually very similar to Florida. There's a little bit of elderly because of the weather. It's always warm here. So we have a lot of OA of the knee. Unfortunately, because of the diet, which is everywhere now, there's a lot of obesity, diabetes, a lot of comorbidities. We have a lot of derm patients too because of the sun. There's a lot of dermatology studies, and then CNS and psych, just like anywhere. But oncology, I'm trying to get, there's only one group here in Yuma that's not affiliated with the hospital. So there's a big hospital in the city that owns maybe 50% of all the private practices. It's a huge monopoly. But there's only one practice that does oncology that's not affiliated with the hospital that does oncology. And I'm trying to get them to do research, but I've been busy. I've only been here 2 years, so I've been having issues. But I know based on what you're telling me too, like now you guys 80% is oncology, the demand is there. So I just have to get to find the owners. The owner lives in 2 hours away. That's the problem.
Yeah,
So I have to drive
yeah.
2 hours to find this guy.
Yeah, then now the thing with oncology is very specific. So you're looking for mutations or target therapy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have community radiologists and they break it down into different niches. But they have the whole group there. Like they have everything. So I just need to find. The problem is when I've been going to the practice to let them know about research, the decision makers are never there. The other oncologists that are there are just employees. So they don't know, they don't want to talk to me. They say you got to talk to the owner, but this guy lives in Scottsdale, which is 3 hours
Mm.
away. I gotta go find him. But it's enough motivation just talking to you to make me want to pursue that, which is why I like interviewing guests too, because not only it helps Guru Nation, but it helps me as well. Motivate motivate myself.
Yeah.
So oncology is different because you in medical school, I mean, you came out as a like in surgery, right? So you didn't really specialize in oncology. How did that work as far as what was I know, man, like the doctors I work with now, the internal medicine, I mean, they don't know much about oncology. It's like, how was it? Do you see it as a challenge? Do you enjoy learning these new indications?
I really enjoyed it, and the things that our doctors in here are also professors, so they always have fellows in here. So
Wow.
they like us to teach us also
Where do they
because they
teach?
know we
University of Miami?
no they no they're affiliated with one of the hospitals nearby, so they just
Okay.
receive the fellows. Yeah.
Wow. So you're surrounded by these guys and gals and you get to ask them questions. Are you like kind of reading like all the latest papers and all that, or do you get into the science at all right now?
Well, I always receive the newsletter from the sponsors. So in LinkedIn, I'm also aware of what's happening, the new approval of the new medications. What's happening right now with vaccines is incredible.
Cancer
So
vaccines, right?
yeah, cancer vaccine and
Yeah.
also with the virus vaccine, amazing. So yeah,
So I mean, you must love doing this because that's one of the things I think is amazing about our industry, clinical research, is you'll never stop learning. Um,
yeah.
like I was pre-med student, but I never made it all the way. So I'm not a doctor, but I did all the undergraduate requirements. So I always like had a interest in science. But when I got busy doing clinical research, I started focusing on the operations, the QA, managing employees, marketing. It's only been recently, like these last 3 years, that I started getting back into the science. So you can always challenge yourself in this industry because, okay, you mastered the operations. Okay, that's fine. What about managing employees? Okay, you kind of get good at that. Well, what's next? Well, what about science? I mean, every study is a different mechanism of action. You'll never know it all because there's always something new. So it's never boring. This is what I try to tell people, especially IMGs, but it's really hard to communicate this to them sometimes. So QA, how long until you went from CRC to quality assurance?
Um, it was 3 years, 2 to 3
3 years.
years. Yeah,
So somebody was nurturing you from management ownership. They said, look, this
yeah,
Vanesca lady, she's different. I think we need. Do you think there was like a fear that a lot of site owners, especially when someone educated, like IMG, you can't be more educated, I don't think. Somebody like the natural pathway is CRC to CRA for a lot of people. Because let's face it, CRC, you're gonna reach a maximum on your salary for that site because it's a small site. Even the big ones are small compared to the CRO.
yeah,
So do you think that was like, did you ever want to be a CRA? Were you ever exploring that pathway?
yeah. After a while in the like being a CRC, so I had a lot of communication with my CRAs. So also with the medical monitors.
Ah,
So
with
they
the
always,
medical monitors. That's right.
yeah. So I was always like that. Like I wanted to talk to everybody. So I have all of my medical monitors of by president from the pharma telephone numbers. So I called them. Hey, I need this. So that involvement within the industry gave me a lot of like options to see and also a lot of knowledge
And
from
you still
different
have
people.
options. You still have
Yeah,
options.
yeah,
That's the beautiful thing about this, especially when you start backing it up with degrees in education. Like you become highly desirable to the CROs and the sponsors. And maybe that's something, I mean, you're young and you're just starting out, but you seem to be in a good place right now. And kudos to your employer for knowing this. Like a lot of these employers, they think that, oh, well, this lady's never gonna leave, so let's just keep her a coordinator forever. And you guys, the employers, myself included, you have to work to keep the good employees with you because the industry is competitive,
It is.
super competitive. So why would your CRC, who's an IMG, not want to be a CRA or a medical monitor? Well, you gotta give her options at your place. And in your case, they did. So I don't know who owns BRCR. Maybe I should interview them, but they know what they're doing, at least with you. At least with you. So hats off to them. So what do you do as far as so the offer was good, attractive enough to where you're like, you know what, was it what made you not want to be a CRA? Was it like you don't want to travel, you don't want to do all that right now, or what was it?
Yeah, well, I love to travel, but the thing is that I brought my dog from Venezuela, so I cannot leave her around
That's
him
an
all
important
the
part of the
time.
story. That's important.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So,
so
this is a new opportunity. I've been growing here. I know, because also it became a CRO as well. So I knew that I will
ah,
have that opportunity in there. So, uh, I'm having CROs. I'm having CRO experience now.
good point. Good point. Because you guys are, yeah, the owners of BRC are smart. I can tell. I don't know them. I can tell. If you want, like, please, I would love an introduction for the podcast to you because we can talk different side on. They're doing what I think is the right thing to do to expand your site. Um, so QA, what do you guys do? What do you do specifically? Do you guys do like source? Are you electronic source? Have you tried Viva for eReg? It's free if you haven't. Shout out to the sponsor, sites.viva.com. Tell me a little bit about the operations. Like,
Okay. Yeah. So, we do paper source. Okay. And basically in the QA part, what we do is regularly audits to our own studies. So we follow some procedures in here. Uh, we know that the quality of the data is most important for the sponsor, so that's why we try to keep them always. So we are always on top of every single procedure that is done by our CRCs in here. We perform regularly audits to our own sites. We are in there with the CRC always, like if they have any questions, so if they have any doubts. So if you're gonna go through the screening when you are ready to do it, or let me do it, let me explain you. So I never let them alone until I know they are ready. Like, I mean, you will have mistakes
mhm.
in the way. That's normal. But I like them to be at least sure what they're doing. That if you have
Yeah.
any doubts, just go and ask. So that's it. Don't keep like, okay, what I'm gonna do? I don't know what to do. I'm gonna keep it in this way, or let's do whatever I think it is. So no, just ask because we are in here, right? So
How many employees do you manage right now?
well, more than 20.
More than 20 that report to you directly.
Yeah,
And see, this interview is amazing. You have a little bit more time? This is
yeah,
because now we can talk about what you look for in the candidates and how you retain them. Miami's competitive.
it's crazy.
Miami's the research site capital of the world. There's a site every corner. We have clients, Chris and I, that I mean, every week is somebody in Miami wants to open a clinic, a research clinic. And it also developed like a bad reputation, which is unfair for the good sites, which it sounds like you guys are. I mean, you don't do oncology if you're not a good site. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Oncology is not one where you can survive if you're not a good site. Uh, so are you guys short-staffed right now? Are you having a problem getting employees? Are you properly staffed?
So we had some of our oldest coordinator that left to the hospital, right? And another one's to the CRO to become a CRA, but it's okay. They had already here 3 years, so we will live in
See,
on the
that's
relationship.
CRC to CRA.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a problem, but for site owner, you have to pay attention. Don't put
yeah,
your head in the sand like an ostrich. You gotta know what's
yeah,
going on.
yeah. And right now we are fine. I mean, because I don't know right now, but some people are afraid of research, like you said, with the the doctor from other countries, like, oh no, they're gonna this is going to distract me, but it's not. Actually, I have 3 friends that they just match, and they are right now clinical research coordinator, and I believe this help them as well to go through. I mean, to share that experience during their interviews, right?
Mm.
So with the staff, we're okay. I mean, we're always looking for this is I don't know if it's in all the sites, but in our site, we always like the people to have a medical background.
And in Miami, it's not difficult to do, right? You have
It's not
IMGs.
difficult.
How
No,
many
it's not
IMGs from these 20 people that you manage? How many are
7,
IMGs, do you think?
around 10.
Wow, so
Yeah,
half
around
of
10.
them, half of them are IMGs. Yeah, this is a great team you got. The problem is
Mm-hmm.
keeping them. Um,
Yeah,
but if you guys grow enough and the fact that you're a CRO as well as a site should provide enough opportunities for all those that want to grow within the site and within the company because it's a site
yeah,
and a CRO. Do you guys do any phase one healthy volunteer?
yeah,
You do phase one as well. See, you guys,
yeah,
that's where it makes sense also to be a site and a CRO on the phase one because you get approached by all these early stage biotech companies and they often don't have the resources. And if you can do the site and the CRO at the same time, that blueprint has been established already. Um, that's a really good opportunity you guys have for you're gonna have so many people reaching out to you in Miami. That's
yeah. We do.
are you familiar with that care access, that fiasco that just happened with that Lyme
No,
disease? Well, anyways,
no.
there was this company nationwide called Care Access, and I don't know. I mean, they kind of screwed up one study, a Lyme disease, and Pfizer can't use the data. They had like 50% of the patients on under this company, and a lot of the staff is like wanting to leave. And there's a lot actually that have reached out to me in Miami that are looking
Wow.
for new jobs. So Miami is like an interesting place because it has the infrastructure, it has the education, it has great employees, candidates. And then what about E-reg? How come you guys are paper? Are you guys considering like moving to E-reg like someone like Viva? It's free.
Well, we've always worked in this way, and we use doctors EMR, so we send just the certified copies to the source documents.
Hmm.
Mm, We don't, I mean, we don't have the necessity to migrate an
Yeah,
electronic source, and also a sponsor have the over the shoulder view to
access,
the
yeah.
EMR, access to the EMR, so they will
But
see that data, the data is.
what about regulatory though? Like your investigator site files. That's like an easier thing to switch. I'm asking because a lot of people watching are tech vendors and they
Mhm.
just assume every site wants electronic system and it's not true. I'm trying to
No.
figure out why for you guys it's still easier to just use paper.
It's easy. For regulatory, we had some sponsors that require us to use electronic
Mm.
paper, so we just keep it in a cloud base.
Hmm.
Can be ours. We use Dropbox or their cloud base system. But yeah, we like that we like the paper. We like, I don't know, doctors can see that. You make sure doctor can read this. Doctor, you will have this on hand.
Ah,
Yeah, so
so it comes
that's
down to because a lot of the e-regulatory depends on digital signatures. I mean, you can do like print and sign by paper and then upload like to Viva. But the real benefit is email something to this doctor or this coordinator and they just click and sign. And then electronic delegation of authority log is kind of a game changer to me. We use eSource, eReg. I haven't even used electronic delegation yet. We're planning on doing it for an upcoming study, but a lot of this stuff is scary, especially when you have what? How many studies do you guys have roughly right now?
I can tell you we have just in oncology like 66 trials.
So that's scary, to switch all that. My advice would be if
Yeah.
you ever considering start with one study just as an experiment with your most digital friendly PI and just see how it goes. You might be surprised and it's free. Like I was scared of all this stuff too. We don't have 60 studies. We only have like 8, but it's
Yeah,
it's
we were
a lot
thinking
easier once you start using it.
yeah, we were thinking about with the internal medicine trials because oncology is crazy thing.
Oncology's nuts, but crazy thing about oncology is it's probably the most benefit for oncology because of all the SUSARs and like those
Yeah, the
find
SUS.
those investigator site files are so massive just in physical. It's makes the most sense to digitize those. But
Yeah,
yeah,
actually
I know.
the SUSARs are digital. So
Oh,
those
okay,
are,
okay.
yeah, those are digitals. Yeah.
You're already halfway there. You just gotta do the
Yeah,
rest.
yeah. We have like both of them. So
Yeah.
we keep both. Yeah.
I just wanted to get other people's perspective because, these a lot of vendors in our industry, they assume every site loves digital, and it's not the case. Like once you get used to paper and paper source, paper regulatory, that's how you're gonna be. So this is why even if it's free,
Mm.
sites.viva.com, shout out to our sponsor. It's gonna take a while to get people to convert.
Yeah. That's true. We use Viva for source data verifications or to remote monitoring visits,
Ah,
but
okay.
that's it.
What what's the most difficult part about being QA, quality assurance?
Well, I think if you're one of the base of the site or the organization, because without quality, a lot of things can just go down.
Hmm.
So in quality, you just not take care of. In my case, I just don't just view the quality. I also manage.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I think the most difficult maybe is that have that all the organization in your shoulders. Like if you don't do your job good, so all of us will be screwed up, like everybody.
yeah.
So yeah.
How do you communicate that to your staff? Because I only have 3 coordinators right now that I manage. My wife helps me, my nurse practitioner business partner helps me. But even with 3 coordinators and 8 studies, it's still not easy. Like, whenever, and they're all new. So when they make a mistake, even if it's small, I have to retrain. You have to be on top of it. You can never like take it easy as a director, as a manager. So how do you do it with 20 and like 66 studies or however many you have? Like how are you actually able to do it, especially when it's all paper?
Well, we do have a CTNF. So the
Ah, okay,
CTN
okay.
that we use, yeah, we can see there. We have that tracker of since we received the feasibility questionnaire
Hmm.
and everything. So I have to be copying every single communication of everyone in here, so I can read my email. I can tell you that if I don't read an email one day, the next I will have 300 emails. It's crazy, but it's the way I do it. So to be on top of everything.
Yeah.
So what in the CTMF I can say, okay, so this study is closed and the enrollment is closed, or this study will be the close of this, or we're enrolling in this, or how many patients we need to get enrolled in the trial. So also we do weekly calls with the different teams
Are you in the
uh,
office every day or do you work from home
every
sometimes?
day.
Every day.
Every day I'm in the office every day. Uh, I'm also in communication with the doctors in here. Um, uh, we have another manager. She helped me with the other sites in Texas and Puerto Rico. So
You
she
guys have
managed those
Texas
sites.
sites and I knew you had Latin America sites, but I didn't know about Texas. Wow.
Yeah, so she managed, or she take care of that, the managing of those sites,
Hmm.
and I do the quality. But uh, but yeah, I mean, it's a teamwork. You can not do this by yourself, never.
No,
Even if you are in the top of everyone, or in the top of the pyramid, you
it's
cannot this do
impossible.
by your. It's impossible. You need to
Even with
rely on
my
people.
even with my 8 studies and I have 17 years, maybe eight now I have 18 years of experience in research. That's crazy. But even with my 8 studies, 3 coordinators, 18 years of experience, there's no way. Every protocol is like you're brand new. Like you have to learn the protocol. I was gonna ask you, like, how without delegating, there's no way you can properly manage this stuff. So do you assign like one coordinator to be the lead for, do you assign a responsibility like per study, and then you
Yeah,
hold that coordinator accountable to this protocol, or how does
yeah.
that work?
So I assign studies for each coordinator, like lead clinical research coordinator,
And you can
right?
decide, you personally can decide who's gonna do what.
Yep. I'm gonna decide uh, which study is gonna get each coordinator. Also based on what they liked. I like to know what my people likes, because there are some coordinators that they like to do urology. So I look for those, try to get into them, because I know they're gonna give me the best, because they likes what they're doing, right? Um, if I give a coordinator, for example, this coordinator doesn't like at all hematology, and I give that coordinator hematology trials, even if I have the solid tumor trial, that coordinator won't be motivated to work. So I need every single coordinator to be motivated to work. So always, I tell everyone, listen your colleagues, listen what they have to do, because you have to work with that too. It's not only what you have in mind. It's also like put everything together. You have to
Hmm.
listen to them, what are their needs, and try to have every single person uh under your like guidance to be motivated, because it's
Yeah.
in this field, if you're not motivated, I mean, you're not gonna have patience, you're not gonna have quality, your data entry will be past you and past you and past you, the queries will be in there more than 100 days, and yeah,
That's a bad thing. All those
it's a
things are
bad
bad
thing.
things. How do you
Mm-hmm.
deal with, because I've only managed, like the most I've ever managed at one time as far as human beings are concerned is 6, maybe 7, not including PIs, just coordinators. Even in a like a that's still a small site, right? Even in a small site, you'll have coordinators complaining to you about someone else not doing their job, and then you always have to figure out, is this like valid or is this just they don't like this person? It's like almost like you have to do psychology in a way to know
Yeah.
your staff. How do
Mm-hmm.
you do that? Well,
Well,
I think females do a
uh
better job at this too, by the way.
yeah, so I try to, as I tell you, I try to listen to everyone. So when they come telling me, I had like a few weeks ago an issue with one of the coordinators, that she didn't she did the coordinator told me, no, she doesn't want to work, she doesn't do to do this or to do that. And I said, okay, let's do something. I'm gonna So I gave her jobs and I gave her timelines, right?
You gave the one that
So
was complaining or the other one?
the other one to see
Okay.
if the issue was personal or something, or if the issue was real. So
Okay.
indeed, the coordinator didn't achieve any timeline, didn't achieve any goals that I gave it to her. So I knew there was a problem, not with the people complaining, but with the
I
other one.
see. I see.
So I knew that was real. Also, I always do meetings with all of them, like, okay, why this is not complete, what is happening, are you bored of work? Because I know sometimes
How
we get
often are
bored.
those meetings that you do? Like
It's
impromptu,
weekly,
weekly?
weekly meetings.
Like
Yeah, weekly
one-on-one, or
meetings.
you do with the like small teams?
We do the small teams with the
Okay.
coordinators.
Okay.
And if they have the one-on-one is, for example, if they want to complain about directly with with another co-worker, like, hey, these people or this
It
person is doing
happens
this
a
or that.
lot. It happens a
It
lot.
happens a lot. But I
Mm.
say, okay, don't worry, I'll manage it. Just keep doing your work, and then I do what I know what to do, like put timelines or do this or milestones.
So if someone complains to you about someone else, you're able to do it discreetly. You go to the other person they're complaining about and you basically test them to see if it's true or not. You probe, you do like your own clinical trial basically to confirm this person, is there really an issue or not. So what happens when you find out there's not really an issue? It's just like personal thing going on. What do you do then?
I talk to both at the same time, and I say, what's happening? We're co-workers in here,
Hmm.
okay? So remember, we are a team.
Hmm.
So I try to understand from both sides what is happening, right? And we both of them in there, because I like to be clear with my team. Like, I don't like gossips and everything in there, even though I know that those happens, but I don't want
Hmm.
them to be an obstacle in my team. Okay, everybody
Yeah.
here needs to work as a team, help each other. Okay, for example, what I really like from the team is, like, if one of the coordinators can get it to work or whatever in just that minute, everybody knows what they have to do.
I see.
So because everybody is involved, like, in some way, they know each patient, they know, we have a visibility in the cycle the patient is and everything. So everybody's aware what's happening in the site.
Do you find, I think with 20 people it's difficult, but even with 3 or 8, it's difficult. But do you try to find what motivates each one individually? Because it's not the same. Um, I used to assume everybody's motivated like I am. So I just managed everyone as if they were me. And it doesn't work because everyone has different motivations, different desires. How do you do that with 20 people? Like, do you try to figure out, or do you have category of people like in your head? This person's in this category, this one's in this one.
Yeah. So what I do is talk to them, and I want them to let me know what they like.
Hmm.
Okay. So here, coordinators don't deal with regulatory, like, we have a regulatory specialist,
Ah, okay.
right? But they have to be communicated all the time, like,
Yeah,
as a team.
yeah.
So, for example, my team, I'm open. I'm open communication all the time. I just have open communication with them. Yesterday I just assigned new studies, and one of the coordinators told me, "Hey, I would like to have this kind of a study. Do you think it's possible?" And I said, "Of course, yes. Let's see what we can do based on your necessities." So I know here everyone what they like. One of the coordinators told me, "Hey, you gave me this. It has hard," because we just have a coordinator that left the trial,
Hmm.
and she left the company, and there were some queries in there. Hey, you gave me this. How many queries do you have? And I say, okay, let's work together. Besides the queries, do you have any problem with the study? And she said, no, just the queries. Okay, let's work on the queries. Let me know what I can do to help you. Let me know if someone else can help you. Let me know what do you need. So it's based on the needs of my staff.
Yeah.
Of course, that match uh our like number of studies or type of study, because maybe you will have just only hematology studies one time, right? And you don't have any
Yeah.
solid tumor. So what's gonna happen with the people that don't like hematology trial? So let's do it together,
Hmm.
give it a chance. Let's see, okay, and go with the flow.
I also noticed certain PIs prefer certain coordinator, and it's not the same one for every PI. And so I try to figure that out and assign based on who the PI like and who the coordinator likes. But really, it's who the PI prefers, because it's it's weird because sometimes a PI likes this coordinator, but another PI likes the other one. So they don't all
Yeah.
like the same one. So it's a complicated thing to manage these studies.
No, yeah, it's difficult that part, but here the PIs have communication with all the coordinators. So
I see.
I don't know, we have the coordinators in here. They can be the five coordinators with the same PI in
Yeah.
different studies. So in that way, your PIs can see, okay, I have all these team
Hmm.
working with me. It's not only one coordinator and one study; it's the whole team.
I guess
So, for
last.
example,
Oh, sorry to
it's
cut
okay.
you off.
Don't worry.
I was gonna say the last. I don't want to hold you all day. I mean, we'll probably have to. We're gonna have you on Latinos in clinical research too, and maybe we'll have Monica do like English and Spanish. We'll have multiple. But how do you deal? Maybe you don't have this problem at a study or a site with 60 something studies. But like my site's relatively new. It's only a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. So I overhire because I rather have more staff than less. But we have periods especially in between studies, where right now, for example, in the next month, we only have two studies that, and they're difficult to enroll. So we have to wait a month until we get busy again when we have these two easier studies starting. So I have like these periods of a lot of work and then not that much work. I don't know if that's the case in a site with 66 studies. How do you
It's the
manage
same.
that? It's the
It's
same?
a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. Every year is a roller coaster. In January we're in here, and then the second quarter of the year we're here, and
So
then
what do
we
you
go
do
back.
during the downtimes? Because right now what I've been doing during the downtimes to save money is telling the staff, hey, let's just do like part-time for now. We're small enough to where they don't care too much as long as it's not that long. Like, hey, for the next few weeks, let's just do part-time until we get busy. How do you do, how do you manage that with 20 people? The downtimes, like what do you have them do?
Well, in oncology, if you have a patient in oncology, it will get there. It will be in there like more than 2 years or more than 3 years.
Hmm.
So you will have someone to take care of the patients in there. So I don't know, maybe because your site is new and
Hmm.
this one has more than 12 years now,
Yeah.
the operations are different, right? So even though you are not recruiting so much patient, you have administrative stuff going on,
Yeah.
because even though you're opening when you're closing 2 trials, but you're opening 5 more, so you
Hmm.
cannot get rid of the people that is in there, because there are trials coming, and then when those trials came, that is, I can tell you, I don't know, 6 weeks of startups until the SID, 6 to 8
Hmm.
weeks. So what are you gonna do?
Start
So
up.
in so it's like, okay, I'm gonna look for new people, or what I'm gonna do. So we
Hmm.
keep our coordinators in here, and in that when we don't have too many new patients, we do educational meetings,
For the
right?
staff.
So for the staff, so the
What are you
same staff,
teaching them?
they so they each coordinator prepare a presentation on their trials.
On the new studies that are not yet starting?
New study, yeah, and the new studies or
Ah,
the new ones that we know we can have patience. So we
you're
do that.
giving me ideas. My staff's gonna hate you.
So it's really important to have your staff educated in all the other
Mhm.
trials, because if one of the coordinators just, I don't know, I have to go, okay, so the new people or the coordinators need to learn and you start from zero. No.
So what do you have them do? You have them present like a PowerPoint to all the
Yeah,
staff about their
PowerPoint.
study?
Yeah, PowerPoint. Also, we have business
Vanessa,
development.
this is genius.
Business
Who came up
development
with this
also.
idea? You?
Me and my coworker, we are two. Her name is Victoria. She also helped me with all this managing. She's very organized. I'm
Mhm,
not that
mhm.
organized as she, but she's very organized, and she helped me also with all of that.
I love
Managing.
this.
But
I love this
yeah,
because even if you only have three staff, like I have three staff right now, we have at the moment two studies we can enroll for and two more starting. At least two more starting. There might be five more starting. So I can have each of them present. Well, and that's how you guarantee that they're gonna know the protocol really well. And then they can do things
yeah,
like revise the source and yeah, this is good. I like
yeah,
this.
and just be prepared for the trials.
Hmm.
For example, in that down, because I call it the roller coaster,
Yeah.
I made a presentation to my team like how to approach patients, how to approach PIs, because you have to I like my coordinators to communicate in the same way with the PI and with the patients. Like, for example, how we
Mm-hmm.
identify patients. That's how I started in here. So you don't wait for your PI to give you a patient. You have to get that initiative. Give us that initiative. Okay, I'm gonna look for patients. You have to do the EMR so you can look for potential patients. Talk with your doctor about potential patients. In oncology, patients um are not eligible like this. But
Mm-hmm.
you will have a list of patients like, okay, this patient, there is one line of treatment that needs to get this patient in order to be eligible for the trial. So in
Like a
those
cheat sheet,
moments,
like making a cheat sheet, basically.
yeah, so yeah, like, yeah, so you in those times when you don't have patients like coming around, so you just prepare your team, see patients what can be enrolled in 3 months, but you're following that. So
That's
so
beautiful. Vanessa, this is amazing.
yeah,
So
thank you.
that's one of the reason I do these podcasts, not just for Guru Nation, but it's for me too. Like to pick your brain and figure out what you're doing. We gotta do more. I know you gotta go back, so we could wrap it up. Look, obviously, you guys need to go follow Vanessa. Her LinkedIn's underneath this video. If you're listening, thank you. It's in the show notes. Go connect, right? It doesn't matter if you're a job seeker or a sponsor or a site owner and just want to network. Can we get you guys at our conference next year, February 2nd, in Sites Save Our Sites? It's called Save Our Sites Conference in February
Okay,
2nd in Arizona. Okay, I'm gonna send you the link if you want to go, just come.
of course I will.
Okay. All right. We already have
Okay,
250 people coming, so we might have like between 800 to 1,000. All right.
great.
Thank you, Vanessa. Anything else you want to
No,
say, or are
thanks
you
to
gonna
you.
save it for part two and part three?
No, we can say for part two, it's a long story to tell, like how you can get into research and to build a career in here is amazing.
Yeah, because you're able to do the career advice, but you're also able to advise the site owners, site director like myself, like how to man. I picked up a new thing. I'm gonna have my coordinator each one pick a study. If they start complaining, I'm gonna tell them to watch this interview and say, go blame her. Go message her on LinkedIn that you're complaining.
Yeah.
Right? Go message Vanessa. It's her fault. Okay, guys,
Oh my
like,
goodness.
subscribe, comment, share. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's inspirational and it's good to have people like you in this industry. So thank you.
Thanks to you. And thanks everybody in there that is watching us.
Bye bye, guys. Go follow her.